Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. I will try to be very assertive because 20 minutes is not easy, and I like to talk a lot. So I'll ask my wife to keep me on time. I have 20 minutes for the watch. And here we go. Here we go. Almost there. It is an old model, no batteries, do not worry. Should work. First of all, I'd like to get your attention. This is when I showed my son this morning, Dad, do you think I have the young lads over there and lassies, you know, because they do not like it? What do you mean? We don't like when you tell me to stop watching my mobile phone, you know, so why they do? And as a matter of fact, I'd like to start with that thing, because we all need to get adapted. Most of us here, we don't have much time at all. We have 50 years, 60 years, but young kids, they may have 100 years ahead. And we need to focus on information for the young kids and to give them the opportunity that perhaps we never had. So keep that in mind. We need to think about spiritism, not for us, but for the times ahead. So long lines of mediums and indoctrinators for the carnal world leave from here with necessary instructions, because the benefactors of the superior spirituality, in order to intensify human redemption, need renunciation and altruism. Kind of harsh, isn't it? Very straightforward information. And that is in the messengers. That was Andrea Luis, through Francisco Cândido Xavier, who brought that information for us. Right? What is altruism? I went to Google and there are so many descriptions about what altruism is, but I like this one. The belief in or practice of disinterest and selfless concern for the well-being of others. So I guess that when I joined Spiritism, that was my goal. It was not to help myself, yes it was as well, but not only to help myself, but mainly to help others. And if we are in the Spiritism only to help ourselves, we are missing something very important already. We have to think about it. If I'm in the Spiritism, if I call myself a Spiritist, I have to think that I'm here to help others, other than myself, not only myself. My friends, turn away from those who call to you in order to show you the thorns of the way. Instead, follow those who will lead you under the shade of the tree of life. Why do I like this one pretty much? Because every time we try to do something different, we try to do something new, even if we follow the same patterns as ever, but if you try to do something new, the majority of people will come to us telling us that, that's not going to work. That's not the way we do. Oh, that's the go. That's not the way we do. Why do we want to do things different? Nah, but what you hear more often is, that's not going to work. This is not Kardec. This is not Spiritism. And a lot of people that used to say that never bother to read Kardec entirely. Kardec is more than 5 books. Way more than 5 books. But most of people don't even know that other books exist. Where did I take this from? That was written by Kardec himself from the Gospel. So most of the time when I engage myself with anything, I try to refer to Kardec. Kardec and Chico Xavier. Why I try to do like that? If I call myself a Spiritist, if I do not rely on Kardec, if I do not trust entirely what has been brought to us through Francisco Cândido Xavier, I have a problem. I have to revisit myself first. Am I really Spiritist? Do Because I had so many conversations and people that say that Kardec may be mistaken, Kardec may did something wrong. I heard a lot of things over the years. But if I call myself a spiritist, of course, I should analyze everything more than once. But to tell that Kardec or Francisco Xavier, they are wrong, I really have a problem with that. So what can we do differently? And I guess you all paid attention to the first slide, right? Okay, good. First of all, our attitude towards mediumship. Why is that? Because there's a lot of spiritists that believe that mediumship is something very, very far away from me. There are some spiritist centers that truly believe they don't need to have mediumship meetings. I would have a massive question mark with that one. But basically, mediumship is natural, very natural. There's no age, there's no limitation. So we need to open up ourselves to what mediumship really is. Mediumship is not something that I'm only allowed to practice after I'm 60, after 50s. I have only 10 years to really work mediumship. No, it's not. We can practice mediumship from a very early age. I'm not saying about kids. We're going to talk about that at the end. But we can practice mediumship from the day we are born. Because I think he's saying something that's very wrong. Am I? We don't have babies here today. But your kid, when he was little, when he fell on the ground, a bit of bruise, what you did?
Picked him up. Yeah.
Wake up. He would do exactly the same with the brothers, sisters, and everything like that. What is that? If you think that I'm saying something that's wrong, let's study a little bit about how magnetism works, how healing works, and then you start to see things in a different pair of eyes. Right? So we all have, to a certain extent, mediumship from the time we are born to the time we will pass away. We may decide not to use, that's a different thing, but mediumship is natural. It's part of who we are. Second thing, our attitude towards mediums. It's not easy for a medium to start with, depending where he lands. First of all, a lot of people will think that this is not mediumship, this is animism. That's a very nasty word, and the spirit is wrong, right? But people don't even understand really what animism is. And when this young lady or lassie trying to start mediumship, hold on, it's not like that. You need to get some steps before you'll be able to do mediumship, practice mediumship, and things like that. So we need to open up ourselves to receive the mediums with open arms. And that's not always the case. I have many situations where people came to the spiritist centers and the spiritist center called them on next door. When the spiritist center said, well, we don't do that here, we need to go elsewhere. We don't do that here, we need to call some people. Why is that? Don't we have the same books from Kardec? Are we spiritists or what? Am I choosing the type of work I will encompass with the spiritism? Maybe. I'm not here to judge. I'm just trying to make people think in a different way, right? Our ability to work in Jesus' name with mediumship, to practice charity, following the spiritism knowledge, and practice that is available to all. Why are you not working today? Anyway. First of all, spiritism knowledge is available to everyone. Anyone disagree that here? But I heard many times that we should not give incentive to people to study medium's book. That's just for mediums. Why is that? Any particular reason? I don't see a logic behind it. But I heard that more than once. So the one thing that's very important here, charity. What is mediumship for? Other than to practice charity. If we decide not to practice mediumship in the spiritist center, I'm deciding not to practice charity. Charity to those people that will come with a level of mediumship. charity to the spirits that are waiting for the opportunity to talk, to be helped, and charity to ourselves. Because if you never had an opportunity to read André Luiz, I would strongly recommend you to do, because he's very clear in more than one place in the whole collection, saying that mediumship is for us, is a way we have to repair what we left behind. So mediumship has to be linked directly to charity. Stop being afraid and a massive fear, and use excuses not to be committed with this marvelous tool we have to practice the law, also in that, preconized by Jesus and Kardec. If we decide not to use this tool we have, this tool that Kardec was able to demystify and to create a step-by-step how to handle it, we need to think about why we are not trying to do it. What is the reason behind that? Because, do I have fear? Yes, a lot of people do have fear of mediums, of spirits in the spiritist center. A lot of mediums that are familiar with the activity of mediumship, they have fears. And that's very natural, especially when you're a beginner, or especially when you do not know what you're doing. But after we had the opportunity to study, and by the way, we have to study through the entire life the subject of mediumship, there's no reason to be afraid, there's no reason to have fear. And back in Brazil, there are modern institutions that decided not to have mediumship meetings, and that's one of the reasons, fear. And I truly do not understand. So, she forgot the count. Very good. Responsibility. Am I responsible for my attitudes, not only within the spiritist center, but also with the day-to-day exposure to subjects, clearly described by the spiritism? Very nice. I don't like to do lecture. Don't tell anyone. I like people when we communicate. Many thanks. Of course we do. But of course we forget that quite often. We forget that quite often. We do. I know. And the reason is, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved in someone else's problem. I have my own problems. I don't want to be forced to stop doing things that I know is not really mentioned there. I don't want to change myself. I don't want to get better. Because I know how to get better, because everything is written there. But I don't want to stop doing things.
I wanted to get out from my zone of comfort.
Exactly. 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 We all like to be where we are. We don't like to try different things. We don't like to expose ourselves.
Yeah, connecting what Janet said before, yeah. So we are that diamond, yeah, but unshaped yet. So that you pass there. So I don't want to get out from my zone of comfort to get involved in another one, because I think my problems is sufficient. But there's no problem, so it's just I'm scared and I have ignorance about.
100%. 100%. Saying that, once I've been exposed to knowledge that I could help people in distress, and I decide not to use it, what is my responsibility? Let's assume that we all here are very familiar with Kardec's book. We are very familiar with Spiritism.
In the Gospel say, as much you know, much you think what you ask for.
That's another thing we forget quite often. That's another thing we deliberately try not to do. Why is that? What is the reason behind? Let's be very clear. We always, I don't practice that very often, but we always have the freedom to use our free will. Our free will is limited, by the way. But the portion of free will that I can change is up to me only. No one can. If I decide to do something, I'm responsible for what I have decided. If I decided not to do, I'm equally responsible for that decision of not to do whatever it is. Talking about Spiritism is even worse, because I was acquainted to this knowledge of life. I know what I'm supposed to do. If I decide not to do, I think it's very clear the message. When I'm really sick and search for a medical assistance in the hospital, do I expect to be told to return home and wait? I like to use kids because kids normally touch the emotion of people. If you have to go to the hospital here, and if the doctor said to you, now, I cannot do anything here, go back home, in a couple of years you come back, and then things will work out for you. How do you feel now?
Very upset.
We are prepared to accept what she said, if you go to a hospital. But we are not prepared to accept if she not on a spiritist center. Excuse me, I'm having something that I think is mediumship. I need assistance. Well, I cannot handle that here. But I find an address to give to you. And then you wait for another half an hour, you wait for another day or two to find that place or not. Or you brought your kid. My kid is having something. Not today. We don't have a hearing today. The institution is open, but today is not the day. You have to be here tomorrow, 2:30 sharp. Otherwise, we'll close the door after that, and you won't be able to have healing either. This is lack of what? Understanding of what Spiritism is and charity. And we use so many things to justify that. We believe we have to follow the rule, sharp and square. That's what Chico said. That's what Kardec said. That's what whoever you want said. We misunderstood clearly what they said. That's not what they said. Attitudes versus responsibility again. Scenarios. One, a person has arrived in the Spiritist Center clearly unbalanced, and hopefully, if someone that's not very well comes to the Spiritist Center, we will be able to recognize that is related to mediumship, because we are familiar with mediumship in the Spiritist Center, and he needs immediate attention. Two things happen quite often. First of all, today is not the day. You need to come back Friday, 6:30 in the afternoon, and then we'll be able to get help. And that was Monday. The person had a need for attention now. Where is my responsibility? Don't we have an organization that we can give someone a call today, send a WhatsApp, or we simply do not bother?
Guilherme, saying that, I mean, remembering now, came to my mind, something that happened 3 years ago, I think, and someone was in the station asking help. I think he was talking with you, Pedro, the person that was saying that he will kill himself. He wants, Italian person, no? He wants
Spain.
Huh?
Spain.
Yeah. He needs help immediately at that moment. So I asked Pedro quickly help him. Was out of the blue, I think it was 9 p.m. So he came next time to the assisted group.
Nothing, simply nothing happens by chance. That was your opportunity. That was your right to say, I don't want to get involved with that. Perhaps he wouldn't be here today. Perhaps 5 minutes later, perhaps. And then, you were not responsible to put a knife on his throat, but you would be responsible to give him the knife. So, we need to think about it. Alright, next one. Desperate parents have arrived in the Spiritist Center within the 12 years old children with very ostensive mediumship after seek for medical assistance without success. A very common mistake in society is when a kid has a mediumship, is to look for a professional. That's very correct, by the way. But the professional will give basically drugs to your kid. That's what he can do. He'll try to put a buffer on the kid mediumship. But mediumship cannot be treated by drugs. Mediumship cannot be treated by anything else other than work. And we've seen that many times in our institution back home. Now, put him on evangelization. Yes, that's very good. And what else? Evangelization. Yes. And what else? He has a problem just now. Will he be in a classroom for 10 years until he has 18 years old to do something?
That used to be the expectation.
Yes, I'm against expectations.
Sorry, that's what I was.
No, I know, but that's
what I was.
yeah. But I'm against expectations because I have kids. If my kid needs something, I need to do it now. And show me where in Codex he's telling me not to help a kid.
And the mediumship doesn't go away, right? 28 years later, I still have it, and it doesn't go away.
Mhm.
So,
Tell me where in Kardec we have the clear instructions saying not to do anything. We do not have. When I talk about Kardec, I'm talking about all the other books people don't even know they exist.
Where is the fraternity? And the charity.
Exactly.
The Kardec say without charity we don't go for that.
Exactly. So why I use those two examples here is really to make an impression, because they exist more often than you think. We help kids, very young kids. We even help kids that were about to commit suicide because they've tried before, more than once. But how do we handle that kind of thing? I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. But then I talk to my benefactors. What should I do? Sometimes the answer is help just now. You need to do something now before it's too late. I heard that. If you don't do something now, it will be too late. In that case of the 16-year-old girl that had tried to commit suicide more than once and he was about to try again. The information was very clear. Do it now. Sometimes they would tell us, yes, let's send to the healing, let's send to the evangelization, let's do something. But quite often when we have situations like that, we don't have time to spare. We have to do something now. Can I make it work? Of course we can. Everybody here that has access to Kardec's book can make it. We don't need to rely on A, B, C persons. No, we all can do it. Of course, we have different situations. And as ever, if I'm trying to start something that I'm not very familiar with, I will listen to other people's experience. I will, hey, I'm having a trouble here. How can I handle that situation? What should I do? What have you done in the past? We have to take the information from those that had a little bit more experience than ourselves. Especially here. Support from the Spiritist Center. Guys, only in my city we have more Spiritist Center than we have here in the whole UK. So if you don't help each other, I think we are missing a great opportunity. And someone, I don't know, most of you, apologize for that. Perhaps you, in your institution, you don't have a leadership meeting, you want to start one. Speak to her, to his leadership institution.
Say again?
I'm not sure which institution you are connected to.
Dr. Bezerra de Menezes Spiritist Society.
Good.
Daqui a pouco eu vou pedir para cada
Okay, good.
Alright.
I don't know if you have a leadership meeting in your institution. But let's say you don't. And then call her, him. Call someone, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to start. and I'm pretty sure people will be very happy to help. Kardec has laid the safest path to us all. We like to say things like that, isn't it? It's nice to say, especially if you're trying to do a lecture. But when I have to prove myself that I really believe that, I'll try tomorrow. I think I still need to learn a little bit more. I'm concerned about the time. What do I need? Establish achievable goals. Let's not think about something in 100 years' time. We have to think about something by the end of the year, 2 years' time, 5 years top. If we don't establish milestones now for something that we can do and see results, you will not attract people. And I heard that, I don't remember from where anymore, oh, we have only 2 people in our speech center. We need to attract people. We need to find a way to attract people. And how can we attract people? Giving people the opportunity to work, welcome them with open arms, but sometimes it's not the case. I'm not talking about any institution, I'm just talking in general. That's it. Understanding what is required. I heard in the past that to open a leadership meeting, you need so many things that are really not true. I can open a leadership meeting with 2 people. One meeting, one indoctrinator, or dialogator, whatever you want to call it. With 2 people, I'm already practicing charity, because with one medium, I can start to give rescue to the spirits that are in need. Simplicity. So many institutions create like a magic environment around leadership meetings. So many institutions create like so many rules to do something. You have to remember from the beginning what leadership is for. Charity. Charity must not wait forever. Of course, we have to have the minimum organization, but the minimum organization to start, not to give us an excuse not to start. Continuous study for all participants. Spiritists study forever. A true spiritist. There are those that like to attend lectures. This is a different thing. The spiritists that work with spirits, they act on the spiritist center, must study. From day one until the end. Commitment. Here's a bottleneck. I know what to do, I can do, I'm a medium, or I have all that I need to do, but I don't want to get committed. Because I know how serious things are. I don't want to get the burden to change myself. So commitment is one of the reasons people decide not to start. But on the other hand, commitment is one of the reasons that we also have benefactors around us. If we are really committed to the spiritism, to leadership, we will have benefactors working with us. Don't doubt about it. Now we have a problem. Faith. We are lacking faith in ourselves. I'm not capable of doing it. I'm not ready. I need to study another 10 years before I do something. Faith in ourselves is the first step. Faith in our benefactors. Do I believe or I don't believe? Do I trust or I don't trust? You need to make up your mind. Being a lecturer is very nice. Acquire the knowledge is very nice. Now that someone came and said that if you acquire the knowledge and you don't use, we are also responsible, then we have another problem in our hands. And the most important, don't we trust him? Don't we trust him? Every time I go to a leadership meeting, I know if something happens, I can count on him. I have no doubt about it. Because I'm working for him. So why we are so afraid? why we create so many whys before we engage ourselves. Now is something I really love. How many minutes? Oh, should I finish?
5 minutes, can we do that?
I'll do my best. How long do I need to prepare for that? Mediums and indoctrinators are prepared in the spiritual world. It's not me saying. Andrea Louise said that. So why do I need, let me move on, otherwise she will complain about me. Some institutions preach that they need years and years. What I call university to become a medium. Really? Whenever I become prepared, then there is no vacancy to start development. First point. Mediums and indoctrinators are prepared in the spiritual world. Period. Who said that? Andrea Louise. Through whom? Francisco Xavier. If you don't like that sentence, give them a call, because I'm just putting here what they said. Some institutions preach. Yes, I'll give a quick example. Someone that worked with me in a mediumship meeting for years. She just moved from the capital back home. She knocked on the Spirit Center next to her. I'm a medium, I need to work. That's fine. You need to do first 1 year of study, so we will know if you're a medium or not. She worked with us for years in leadership. I will not elaborate more, but you can see what I think. And there's a lot of institutions that tell people, first, you need to study the gospel for 3 years. After, you need to study the Spirit's book for another 3 years. If you manage to pass, you will evolve to study the medium's book for another 3 years. If you pass all those phases, you have to wait until someone from the meeting dies. Because we also have a rule that we can only have X amount of people in the room. If they don't die, there's no other place to go. Where is our responsibility? Where is our responsibility? I'm a spiritist, I'm trying to help. You have a mediumship, I will try to help you. But from this point now, you need to figure it out by yourself, because I cannot do anything more.
Come back in 15 minutes.
Exactly. God, I'm finishing. I'm not saying everything, but I'm finishing. So, what do you guys think? You, Paul, what do you think is the answer for that? Guys, think, because I'm going to ask 3 different people. Don't just rely on what he's going to say. There has to be a different answer, by the way. Charity? Very good.
Maybe after the sick.
You? Yes?
I was saying the same when I read once when they heal a bone, they realize they're carrying each other. So it's a sign.
But you're saying the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So I don't choose one person. Liz?
When everyone that needs food and shelter have it.
There's no wrong answer to start with, right? But you are cheating because you saw my presentation, probably.